Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a great summer. So good to have you here on the podcast. Today, I want to talk about how to break phone and food addiction. And you might think, why these together? Why not just one podcast episode each? Well, the reason is because both of them, in some ways, serve the same purpose in our life. So a lot of times what we want is a quick burst of dopamine, just a little bit of excitement in our life. And we get that from fun foods and we get that from the phone. And so it's kind of good to tackle these at the same time because otherwise, let's say we stop turning to food, well, then we might start turning to our phone. So we want to develop the habit where we're turning to God instead of food at our phone. So today I want to tackle both of these on the podcast together. Okay, first let's talk about why do we struggle with these things? Okay, well, 100 years ago, we wouldn't be struggling with either one of them, right? Because we didn't have our new phones and we didn't have fun foods that are easily available. You had to go make the pie 100 years ago. You couldn't stop and get something at the nearest Dairy Queen. So, of course, it's not surprising that we struggle with these things today. But I do notice that sometimes we struggle when we have too much downtime. So, a lot of times in the summer, we're not on our normal routines. So, we'll struggle with these things more. Or if you're going through something hard in your life and you have the habit of turning to either phone or food to escape for a while, you're going to struggle with more when you're going through a trial in your life. And then also, I find that if we have a really busy lifestyle, so if you're a person who works all day out of the home, then we struggle when we get home from work. And in a way, it can be kind of like an I deserve this sort of thing. This is my time. And so then we struggle with it at night. And then the fourth reason we struggle is just because it really has become a habit. And so if it's something that you do all the time, no matter what the habit is, it's hard to break. It's interesting because if it's a good habit, it's easy to break, right? You stop doing it a few times, pretty soon you don't feel like it. But with the habits we're trying to control, the habits we're trying to stop, those are very hard to break. So today I want to share 3 strategies you can use to break both your food and phone addiction biblically. Okay, let's get started. Okay, number 1, the first strategy is to make it physically hard to get to your fun foods and to get to your phone. So with the phone, that might mean putting it in another room or putting some sort of app or device in your phone so that you can't access all your fun apps. Now, I've recently heard of something called the Brick. I haven't tried it yet, but I actually purchased it, and apparently that is supposed to be something easy to use, but that's one strategy. Some people keep their phones plugged in all the time. They keep them in another room. If it's right by your side, it's easy to get to it. And it's the same thing with fun foods. If you don't have those fun foods in the house, it's going to be a lot harder to give into the temptation to turn to them. So try to keep those fun foods out of the house. If you're a person who stops at fun places to eat on the way home, the drive-throughs, you could try putting your billfold, like maybe in your trunk of your car, someplace where you can't reach it. Go down a different route so you won't see that place and be tempted by it. So we're just thinking of physical ways we can avoid temptation. And this isn't just practical, this is actually biblical. Jesus gave this advice in Matthew 5:29-30, where he said, if your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go to hell. So Jesus knew about temptation because he lived on earth. He dealt with the same struggles we struggle with. And I don't think he literally meant to do that, but I think the principle is clear. Try and do what you can do so that you're not going to be tempted. And a lot of times people say, but I want to give all these foods to my kids. But the truth is, your children at home, you control what they eat, but once they become adults, they're going to have their own self-control, and they will thank you for helping you develop good habits for them. Okay, the second strategy is develop routines and boundaries. So the first one was actual physical, remove the temptation. And this strategy is to develop routines and boundaries that will help us not give in to temptation. Okay, and I'm using the Bible verse, Romans 13:14, for this Bible verse, and that is, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provision for the flesh in regard to its lust. So when I say I can get my phone anytime I want during the day, I'm kind of making provision for the flesh. And when I have it right by my side, I'm making provision for the flesh. I'm making it easy for my flesh to indulge in it, to do what I want when I want. But when I create boundaries and say, okay, you can only have your phone during this time of day or this circumstance, I'm trying to set some provision so my flesh doesn't get to do what I want. And I have a practical example of this. During the pandemic, I spent too much time looking at the news online, as I'm sure a lot of you did. And that carried over after the pandemic, where I was spending too much time checking out the news, mostly on X. And so what I did is I made a boundary. I cannot get on X until 2 o'clock or anytime after 2, but then I only have about a half an hour to look at X or Instagram or any of those things. And I don't follow it perfectly, but this has been one of the biggest things that's helped me curb my phone usage, because what happens is it's during the day, that's when I'm tempted to get on, because I'm tempted to get on to avoid my work. And I'm trying to work during the day. So once I get to the stage of the day where I'm not trying to make myself work anymore, I don't care that much. So what I found is that when I put in that boundary, I stopped really wanting to get on it that much. So like 5 or 10 minutes, that's good. Kind of lost my desire for it. So try that. I have a lot about boundaries on food, of course, on YouTube and in my books. So I won't go into boundaries in food, but just to maybe think again about, we don't want to give into that dopamine addiction. So what kind of boundaries could you create that would help you not be turning to it? Because here's what happens. The more we turn to things, if I'm always turning to my phone, I'm always turning to food, those things start to control us. So if I'm just doing something for a little bit of relaxation, like my husband and I often play a game every night, that's not addictive. We're just doing it for a fun little relaxation at the end of the day. But if I'm turning it throughout the day because of boredom, because things are going wrong in my life, or just to fill up the day, then that's another thing that's hard. And speaking of that, we talked a little bit about one of the times it's hard is when we have too much time on our hands. If you have a lifestyle right now where you do have too much time on your hands, one routine that you could create is, how do I fill up my day so I don't have too much time? Can I find some ways to serve, some people to help, some things to do so I don't have so much time on my hands? Because if we do have too much time in our hands, it's easy just to do whatever's easy. And we fill up our lives with these things that don't bring us closer to God, don't bring us closer to other people, and don't do anything for other people. Okay, and then the last strategy is to renew our mind. So the first two strategies make it physically hard to do these things and create routines and boundaries. In some ways, those depend on our will and on our self-control. We don't always have that in this area. Self-control is developed by walking with God. It's a fruit of the Spirit. So it's not something we can just drum up. And so the renewing of the mind helps us walk with God. So what we need to do is we have all these thoughts in our mind that are saying, yes, it's a good idea. Go get your phone, do whatever that is I want to do on my phone. Go get that something fun to eat. So all these thoughts are creating desires, and the desires are driving me to do my habit. So I need to change my thoughts, since it's the thoughts fueling the desires. I need to make it a project, like an actual project, and work on it. And that will be the renewing the mind. That will change my thoughts. I'll have healthy thoughts, truthful thoughts, biblical thoughts. That will give me healthy desires and will make it easier to break my habit. And I guess I would just say that this is an actual project. The first two are strategies that are, in some ways they're fairly easy to put in place, but the third one, it creates a lot of work. And so often I have people tell me, I can't believe I'm still struggling with this after all these years. But, Paul the Apostle, he struggled with things. And I would also say that, I don't struggle with learning how to read anymore because I learned how to read in the first grade. But I had to make it a project. The learning how to read wasn't going to happen by me just showing up to school. I had to put the effort to learn how to read. So with these areas in our lives that feel out of control, that we think will never change, we have to fight those with spiritual weapons. We need to renew our minds. I do have some resources for that. My Taste for Truth Bible study, that would help with eating. Of course, that's what it's directed towards, is eating. But I have done that Bible study too for habits. So I think you could do that Bible study and kind of tweak some things in your mind if you have a phone habit. And then, of course, I have lots of renewing the mind tools on my website and on my video, lots of free tools, and also my book, The Renewing the Mind Project. So I also have a Renewing the Mind series that teaches you how to renew your mind on YouTube. So I'm not going to go into that much, except I do want to read the Bible verse. Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world. Okay, the pattern of this world is that we're on our phones all the time. We struggle with eating too much. And I have to tell you guys, remember, I am a person who struggles with these things. So I am speaking from experience, not from the person who's never struggled. But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I have experienced this transformation. God has changed my desires. He can change your desires. And then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Okay, before we renew our minds, we think our will is what's best. Like, oh yeah, of course, this is going to make me happy. But we renew our minds and we recognize, oh wait, that's not going to make me happy. God wants me to hold all these things with open hands. So we need to change the way we think because that drives so much of our desires and behaviors. I do want to renew our minds before we go with just one passage that helps me sometimes with habits, and that is Proverbs 6:6-8. And that is, go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provision in summer and gathers its food at harvest. And so when I meditate on this verse, I think to myself, okay, I'm kind of like the ant. I don't have an overseer. You are too, I'm sure. You're in charge of your phone. You're in charge of your food. So we're in this situation where we have this thing in our lives that nobody's making us do. Nobody's taking it away from us and making us stop doing it. So we have to be the one who manages it. We have to, in a way, go out and get our provisions. We have to make a project of this if we ever want to get over it, experiment with things, renew our minds, go to God for help, keep fellowshipping with him throughout the day, and he will change us. He will transform us. We are transformed by the renewing of the mind, but that takes effort. It's not something that happens to us by us just sitting there. It's not passive, it's active. Okay, I hope this helps. I'd love to see if you have any tips. I'd love to hear them in the comments of this video. And I will talk to you next time.